Domestic battery and firearm rights in Indiana. If you're charged with domestic battery in Indiana, it can certainly negatively affect your right to carry firearms. Now in Indiana, we're a constitutional carry state, meaning that as long as you're 21 years old, you can carry a handgun and you don't have to have a license to carry. However, if you're charged with a crime such as domestic battery, then that can dramatically change, and it can change very quick. As soon as you're charged with the case and you're brought before the court and given a bond, typically part of the agreement that while you're out on bond is that you're not to own or possess any firearms or deadly weapons. So as soon as the case starts, there's a good potential that you're going to have your firearm rights taken away. Now, if you can beat the case, whether taking it to trial and winning, or taking some sort of plea agreement that gets rid of the domestic battery, as soon as that case is dismissed or pled out of, which is not a domestic battery charge, then your firearm rights are completely restored immediately. However, if you go to trial on a domestic battery charge and lose, or take a plea agreement where you plead guilty to domestic battery, you're going to lose your firearm rights for a very long time. And that is because in Indiana, you're going to get something that's called a domestic violence determination. What that means is the judge is going to ask you after the conclusion of the trial or after the plea agreement how this person was related to you, and then the judge is going to make an order that you're now a convicted domestic batterer, and that means that you're not allowed to possess any firearms or deadly weapons for a minimum of 5 years after your conviction. And that's going to apply even if you plead guilty to a misdemeanor. Now, many circumstances, if you plead guilty to a misdemeanor, it's not going to affect your gun rights. But because the nature of the charge being domestic violence, even after you serve your sentence, you're not going to get your gun rights back. After you successfully complete probation, for example, and the case is concluded, you're still not going to be allowed to carry weapons. And if you do, you can be charged with a new crime called domestic battery in possession of a firearm, which is a Class A misdemeanor and can carry up to 1 year in jail and a fine of up to $5,000. Now, to most people, gun rights are very important. Whether you have a gun for self-protection, you're someone who likes to hunt, or you're someone who just likes to go to the shooting range. That's why when you're being charged with any sort of domestic violence charge, it's very important to seek out legal counsel so that they can fight on your behalf to make sure that your gun rights are not going to be negatively affected for a foreseeable future. Now, while the case is pending, a lot of times the attorney's not going to have any say-so whether or not you're able to own firearms. But if you have an attorney that can either beat the case at trial, get the case dismissed another way, or gets the state to offer a plea agreement that gets rid of the domestic battery charge, your prospects for having firearms long-term greatly increase. If you have any questions about domestic battery or firearm rights, please give us at the Marc Lopez Law Firm a phone call, 317-632-3642, and always remember, plead the fifth.